everybody. Happy Wednesday. So how is everybody doing? You know, everybody's been talking about the weather on the comments. Let me get the comments back over here. It's very cold here in Iowa. It's like 5 or 6 degrees, and it's been really below zero at night and everything. So it's supposed to warm up this weekend. So I heard some of you said you were having freezing rain, and I don't like freezing rain. I'd rather have snow. So, oh, good. Jan made it. Yeah. I'm glad you found it, Jan. So, I'm in the living room tonight because my Cricut's in here in the living room. So we're going to talk about the Cricut and cutting fabric. So, I bought a Cricut. I've had a lot of people ask me, can I cut fabric on a Cricut? It's like, I don't know. I don't have a Cricut. And so I actually bought a Cricut last winter, about a year ago now, just so that I could see if I could cut fabric with it. I used to have a Silhouette Cameo many years ago, and that also I could cut fabric with it. And I figured I could cut fabric with the Cricut, but I wasn't sure how, because the mats are different and everything than the scan and cut. So I learned a lot by doing this. I was glad that I did this because I learned a lot about the mats and the blades, and we'll talk about all that stuff. So how's everybody doing? It's been 2 weeks since we've been together. Oh, people are coming in. Hello. So make sure that you make a comment, because remember, if you make a comment, you get to get it included in the drawing for a gift. And this week's gift is going to be, I've got 2 little things. I've got a pin cushion. You know, since it's winter, I thought you needed a little snowflake. So a little snowflake pin cushion. It's got blue on the back. And then I've got this cute little zipper bag. I thought it was cute too. Something you could put in your drawer with different things in it. So that's what the gift's going to be. Hi, Jerry. How are you? So make sure that you make a comment during the live, and then at the end, we'll have a drawing for these 2 little things. Okay, so that's what we're giving away this time. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. Let me get the banner turned off here. Aren't those cute? I like these were all like little Kimberbell like dealer exclusives and stuff that we have done over the years. And sometimes I had like 3 of everything. So that's why I like to give away to my friends, because then I know you appreciate stuff. So anyway, I had a lot of little things like that, and I made so many different samples. Like sometimes I'd have to do it 2 or 3 times before I teach the class, you know. So but anyway, that's what the gift is going to be this time. So, all right, let me get the banner turned off here. Get back to my comments. Okay. So what we're going to talk about first is, I called this video, Can the Cricut Cut Fabric? Yes, it can. And I bought my Cricut. I have a Cricut Explore 3 is what I have. It's one of the 12-inch machines. I really like it. And it's not the top of the line. It's kind of the one in the middle, but you can also cut fabric on the smaller ones. Cause I started out with the little teeny Joy, and it cut fabric too. So I'll explain how I could cut fabric on the other machines. And I just had to figure out a way to do it. You know, I had to, the smaller machines don't have as many mat options as the larger machines do. And they don't have as many blade options. But that doesn't mean you still can't cut fabric with the little machine. So like if you have a Joy or a Joy Extra, you can still cut fabric with those, because I had no problems cutting fabric. I had to do it differently, and I'll explain that when I get to the cutting part. So, okay. So that's why I called it, Can the Cricut Cut Fabric? Yes, it can, because that's why I bought a Cricut in the first place. I'd never thought I'd own a Cricut. I like the Cricut. I use it for mostly paper crafting, but it does a good job on fabric. And hello, everybody. People are still coming in. Hello. I really like the Scan and Cut too. I can't say that I like one over the other. They both have their good points. They both have points that I don't like. But I like them both. I use them both for different purposes. Mostly I can cut fabric with both of them. I like my Scan and Cut for maybe for the fabric cutting a little bit better, but I have to say I got along just fine cutting fabric on this one. It was very much like cutting fabric on my Silhouette Cameo. So I didn't really have any trouble at all. Yes, and it's nice to know the differences. And I like cutting machines, so I've usually had to. My old Silhouette was very old, and I sold it a long time ago. So I haven't had a second machine, and I like having a second machine because then I have two here. So, you know, they're kind of fun to play with. All right, so the first thing we need to talk about with Cricut. So the difference between the Scan and Cut. Remember a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it in the description below this video about cutting the fabric with a Scan and Cut. The difference between cutting the fabric with a Scan and Cut and this machine is the Scan and Cut reads, or most of them, not every single one, but most of them read PES files. You can create a cutting file from a PES file. We talked about using our sewing machine. We talked about how to do it right in the Scan and Cut, and then how to bring it in on a stick or however we decided to do it. So there's a little bit more option for cutting files. Especially if you don't have one, a lot of the companies now provide a cutting file with their embroidery files. You have a Maker, a Maker and an Explorer. Cool. Yeah, I just got the Explorer. I really like it. It seems to work really well. And I just wanted a 12-inch machine. So I decided to go with the 12-inch machine. It gives me a little more option for some of the paper crafters. It's just a bigger machine. So, okay. So with the Scan and Cut, we have a little bit more options available for cutting files. If you don't have one that comes with your designs, and they do often include SVG files, which are a cut file. And that is the type of file you need for the Cricut. Okay. So if you're doing Kimberbell, there's a lot of the companies that offer SVGs with their applique designs. So then you just put it into the software and you use it in the Scan and Cut, or I'm sorry, in the Cricut to cut. Okay. So you do need to have an SVG file for the Cricut to read, the Cricut software to read the cutting file for your fabric. Okay, so that's the big thing that's different with the Cricut. But let's say we don't have one. So I'm going to show you a way to actually produce a cut file from this little file that I gave you. So this will be linked in the video below. This is the little design. It's called Future Superstar, and it's got the little applique in the middle. Okay, looks real cute on a little like a little onesie or something. So I put it on a little onesie here. Okay, so this is free to you. All right, and I've got the link in the description of this video. Right below the video, there'll be a link where you can download this free design. Okay, so we're going to use that design tonight to cut. And I want to show you first how to make a design. Let's say like this, there was no SVG files or anything for this design. I have provided an SVG and an FCM if you want to cut it with your Scan and Cut. So I have both of them in the link that you can download, okay? As well as the PES file in there. So, but if you don't have a file, what do you do? How do you get a cut file? So this is the deal. The software for the Cricut does not read PES files. All right. So I'm going to show you a way to make a PES file. If you have some pretty much basic software, will basically make SVG files. A lot of the embroidery digitizing software will make SVG files now. And I'm just going to show you I have a basic one on this computer. I'm on not my normal computer tonight. I'm on my cutting computer. And all I have is a little program from Dime called Cut and Stitch. It's actually their cutting software. It's really nice software. It's very inexpensive. Seems like it's around $199, something like that. And you can read PES files with it. You can make SVGs. You can make your own designs with it. And it's actually really nice software for $199. I mean, you know, software can be rather expensive. And so let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm just going to show you how to make an SVG file. I'll show you how I did the SVG file from my PES with this little piece of software. Okay. Give me a second. Let me get my, share my screen here with you. And we'll start with that. We've got to find the right thing here. I'll share that. And then give me a second. And then I'm going to open up my embroidery tool shed, which is the, you know, like the parent software for the Dime software. And then we're going to be using a software called, I'm just going to say create a new design here. And I'm not going to have it download yet. So we're going to be using just a second, let me hide this thing and get it out of our way. Open, you don't need to see me. Make it so you can see the second I have to go back to that screen. You could just do, there we go. There, now you can see the screen bigger. All right. So this is going to be the section called Cut and Stitch. And if you go down here, there's a little tool, there's like a little shopping cart down here. And if you go down here, it'll say Cut and Stitch right here. And that one is active on this computer. This computer, basically, this is the only one I have active. So it's very, you know, I don't have a lot of options on this computer. I have the basic embroidery tool shed and I have Cut and Stitch. But I can bring in, so I'm just going to open that little design. So let me hit the open button up here. And this is going to be very similar to a lot of softwares. Okay. So Susan, what I'm doing is I'm going to show you how I made the cut file if you don't have one. This is only if you don't have an SVG file to cut with the Cricut, because you have to have an SVG file. So in this case, I had to make the file because I did not have, I only had the PES file. Okay. So I'm going to open my my sewing file here, my PES file. It's going to click open, and you may not ever have to do this because you may have SVG files all the time with your software or with your designs that you buy. It just depends. Okay. So I'm going to go back here over here to my sequence view, and you can see the parts then of my design. So I've got my placement line. That's, you know, the way applique works. Placement line, tack down line, the satin stitch, and then the letters. Okay. So what I need to do, this is a real simple thing to do. I just need to take my placement line because I usually cut from the placement line. Okay. I'm just going to highlight that section, and I'm going to go up here to the top and say copy and paste. So now I have placement line, because it goes right underneath the original one, and then the tack down line, and then the satin stitch. Okay. So I'm going to choose the second one, and I'm going to make that back into a piece of artwork. I just want it to be like a picture. So I'm going to right click, convert to artwork. Like that. And now if I look at this, it says it's artwork right here. Okay. So in order for me to make an SVG with this program, I have to have a piece of artwork or a picture. So I just copied my stitching line, made it into artwork, and now I can make it into an SVG file. So I'm just going to, at this point, say File, Export Artwork, because that's all I want is an SVG file. So, or an FCM, because I can also make it that. So I'll show you that. Export art file. And then I'm just going to call it Future Superstar, and I can select down here and save it as either an SVG. And there's other ones in here too, but the two that we normally would be using would probably be FCM or SVG. So let's just make an SVG because that's what the Cricut needs. And then I'm going to click save. And oops, I don't want a second here. Let me save it in a different spot. Go to the desktop. There we go. I didn't want to save over it. So there we go. So that's all I did. I opened up my PES file, copied the placement line that I would sew from, and then exported it or saved it as an SVG. It just depends on your software what works. So I use this Dime software. They all pretty much work the same. This is a very basic software. I've just got, it's cut and stitch is what it's called. And I like it because I use it with my cutting machines. And it does a good job making designs and other things too. So, okay. So that is how I created my FCM that I provided for you. So you don't have to do this part. And the SVG file and the FCM file are in the download in the description below this video. Okay. So this is just what I wanted to show you how simple it is to make a file if you don't have one. A lot of the companies now have one, so you don't need to do this part. Okay. All right. So that was my little talk about how to get a file if you don't have one. Because, you know, sometimes you just don't. Some of the older designs don't have one. If I had multiple placement lines, I could change all of them into artwork, and then I could export them all at the same time and have all the different pieces. Okay. So whatever works for you. But, you know, at this point in the world, we have most of the companies have SVG files available. Okay. So is there any questions about that? That was just a very simple, quick way of making an SVG file for the Cricut, because you can't do it with the machine like we did with the scan and cut last time. Okay. All right. So let me get rid of this. We've got our SVG. I'm not going to save it. Okay. And my SVG is going to be in this folder right here. All right. So let's go back to the camera. We're going to talk about mats. Okay. So let me go do this. Oops. Got to click it. Okay. So let's talk about the mats. So this is the things that I learned while playing with this. Technically, the Cricut has a fabric blade and a fabric mat. Okay. I purchased these, and I wanted to show you the differences. I'm going to talk about mats and blades. So here are the blades. This is my normal blade. This is a premium fine point blade that came with the machine. It's kind of in a silver blade holder. Okay. The fabric one is actually, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's kind of pink. And I may put the letter F on it so that I could remember that's what it was, is the fabric blade. I like to have a separate blade for fabric only that I don't cut paper with. So this is my paper blade. This is my fabric blade. Okay. Now with Cricut, it's cool that they make it a different color. By the way, they're the same exact blade. They're both those premium fine point blades. So they're exactly the same, but they make the fabric one pink just to give you, you know, it's a different color. Okay. So we're going to be using this fabric blade tonight in the Cricut. So I'm going to put that up there. I've got my other one out, and I'm just going to lay it down here on the table, and we'll put this one in the machine. So I'm just going to reach up here and put it in so I won't drop it. Okay. So that's the blades. So yes, now the littler machines, the two smaller machines, the Joy and the Joy Extra, do not have a fabric blade. You can get a fabric blade for the Explorer and the Maker. You can also get a rotary blade with the wheel. And we're not going to talk about the rotary blade tonight because I don't have that. But you can get that for the Maker. And they have a rotary blade. So sometimes I use that for the hard to cut fabrics. But what we're doing tonight, the regular blade works great. Roseanne, yes. So yes, the fabric blade, the rotary blade, the Maker has a rotary blade. The other machines don't. Okay. Now the smaller machines, what I did with my Joy is I bought a separate little blade holder with blade and marked F on it. So I could have a separate blade and blade holder for my fabric and one for my paper and everything else. Okay. So, and it's the same blade. I just had to mark it with the letter F. So I know it was my fabric blade. This one's nice because it's pink. And I like that because then it's a little more, visually, you know that it's the fabric blade. So, because it's pink. Okay. I like to have a dedicated blade again for my fabric. So if you're going to cut a lot of fabric with your Cricut, buy an extra blade and blade holder. If you have a smaller one, just buy another one. And then this one, I bought the pink one. And it's the same blade. You can use the same blades in both of them because they're that standard premium, or was it premium fine point blade is what they're called. Okay. Mats. I learned a lot about mats. They also have a fabric mat. Okay. So what I learned about this fabric mat, the fabric mat is also pink. It is no stickier, like our scan and cut fabric mats are very, very sticky. This mat is no stickier than the standard green one. Okay. I could see no difference between the pink fabric mat and the standard green one. So I did a little testing. I wanted to show you how my results were when I tried to use the fabric mat. Okay. I like to cut my fabric with the fabric side down. So I tried to do that with the fabric mat, figuring it probably wasn't going to work because it's not a very sticky mat. So this was my result. Okay. So here's my star that I tried to cut out with the fabric, a brand new, mind you, brand new fabric mat. So you can see it moved and it did not cut. Okay. But there is a way to get it to work on that mat because it works fine this way. I cut it again. This one cut fine, but I used the fabric mat, the pink fabric mat. I took the paper off the heat and bond. We'll talk about that bonding agent here in a second. And I cut it with the shiny thing. You can see it's shiny on this side. Can you see it's shiny? If I tip it, I think you can kind of see it's shiny. And that I had down on the mat. And so that really sticks to the mat. And that worked fine. That worked fine. And so I cut it the same way. So this fabric, but you can see I took all the paper off the back of it. And it's just the shiny heat and bond. So let's talk about the bonding agent. Of course, just like our scan and cut, we talked about this last time, that we need a bonding agent on the back of the fabric. If you're going to be sewing through it, I use Heat and Bond Light. This is the kind that you can sew through. You don't want to sew through the permanent bond stuff, which is called Heat and Bond Ultra or Ultra Hold. So what I have on the back of my fabric is Heat and Bond Light. And I've tried tons of different bonding agents, and Heat and Bond works the best for me. It bonds into the fabric and it stays on. It doesn't come off. Some of the other ones have a tendency to come apart from the adhesive, and then they come up, they come apart and they don't hold on well. This really bonds into the fabric, and you can see it almost is like part of the fabric now because it just bonds right in there. And I really like Heat and Bond. Okay. So again, this was the Heat and Bond that I did with the fabric mat. So the fabric mat, as you can see, didn't work out too well for me. Although if I turned it over and put the shiny side down on the mat with no paper on it, make sure you take the paper off. Otherwise it'll move all over. That seemed to work. Okay. So that's one way. One thing I learned. I also attempted to, I also cut the same way on the regular green mat. So the standard mat. Oh yeah, the Heat and Bond. Yes, the Heat and Bond works really well. So it just bonds better. What if you want to cut felt? Do you need, okay. So felt, you can use Heat and Bond if you're using it for applique. But Roseanne, for felt, we're not going to talk about felt tonight because it's a whole different animal. Felt is going to be the best way to cut felt is with a rotary blade. And I don't have a rotary blade for my Cricut, but I do have it for the scan and cut. So I would recommend cutting felt with the rotary blade because it's hard, it's thicker, and it's harder for the blade to go through that thickness and that density, I guess is the best way to describe it. So yes, I would use felt with a rotary blade. And we'll do felt in another class. I've done a couple of other videos about felt. So if you want to see that, I can put some descriptions of the felt classes in this video too. So then you can see those, okay? All right, so I attempted also to cut on my green mat. You know, I told you the pink one was about the same stickiness as this regular green one. This is a newer one. I'd say, you know, use a newer one, but it did a very fine job. I could do the same thing. I pulled the paper, you know, this white paper that's on the back of the heat and bond. I pulled it off. I put it, you know, the shiny side down on the mat. Okay. And I cut this on my green mat, and you can see it did a fine job cutting. Okay. So if you're using one of the mats that are not as sticky, you need to take the paper off the back. So this, if you've learned nothing else, you need to take the paper off the back of your fabric, you know, from the heat and bond. I'll do it so you can see if I can get a hold of it. There you go. See how it peels off. Okay. So it peels off like that. And then you put this down, the shiny side down on the mat. And it needs to be a pretty sticky mat, you know. So this works really, really well with these two mats that are not as sticky. I like to cut fabric face down on the mat. And the reason I do, I think it cuts more cleanly because it's cutting through the paper and the heat and bond first, and then it cuts through the fabric down on the mat. So I did some research with Cricut, and guess what? They have a really sticky mat. It's not for fabric. They call it their strong grip mat. It's purple. Okay. So as you can see what I did, this works great because this one here, I cut face down. See, I've still got the paper on the back. And I cut this face down, left the paper on. I like the paper on the back because then I can peel it off before I use it. And it doesn't let a bunch of like lint and stuff catch on it. That's why I don't like to take the paper off the back unless I have to, or until I'm ready to, I should say. But there's my, I did this one with the purple mat, and that is called the strong grip mat. So I decided this is going to be the mat I'm going to use for fabric because I can cut it fabric side down. So you can see I marked it fabric up here. And also, just so you know, the Cricut mats have a front and a back. Don't put the front against the sticky because it won't come off very easy. So I learned that the hard way, but I got it off. So this is going to be my fabric mat. I just marked it fabric up here, so I know this is the one I'm going to use for fabric. They get kind of messy, so I like to have a dedicated fabric mat. So I learned that with my Cricut. Okay. So if you have one of the little machines, the two, like the little Joy and the little Joy Extra, they do not have fabric mats. They either have the green standard mat, like this, for them, or they have the little blue light tack mat. So like I said, I cut these right here on a green mat with the shiny side down. So yes, you can cut it on your smaller Cricut. You need to have a fairly new green standard mat because they're pretty sticky when they're new. And that holds that heat and bond without the paper on it very well. So yes, you can cut that. And I had to use like a cardstock setting. Yes, we'll talk about that in a minute, Teresa. Yep, I do mirror it when I'm cutting it face down. If I cut it face up, then no, I don't mirror it. So depending on how you have to cut. So like on the little machines I had on the green mat, I had to cut it like cardstock I had to use cardstock as my choice for my my material because they don't have fabric available for them, but this one does. So I actually used a fabric setting for my machine. Okay. Yes, this is cotton fabric Bernadette with heat and bond white on it. Yes. So this is just cotton fabric that we're going to use tonight. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I did some experimenting and I got some good results. I was very happy, except for the actual pink fabric mat is not sticky enough to cut face down. You know, when they call it a fabric mat, I would guess that you'd be able to put the fabric down on the mat and cut it. Well, not so much. I didn't have very good luck with that. So, but I could use my regular mat and the so-called pink fabric mat by taking the paper off my heat and bond and putting it that way. So we're going to cut two ways tonight so you can see me cut both ways. Okay, so we'll use this pink mat, which is the technically the fabric mat, and we're going to use my strong grip mat. Okay, so I originally got this mat because I want to learn how to engrave with my two machines. So I bought this strong grip mat for that. So now I'll have to go buy another one so that I have two. Okay. All right. So there's any other questions? I think we're doing okay. So let's do a couple of cuts. And so you can see how I do this. So let me see. Let me get my page turned. I think we got all of those. We talked about the fabric grip mat. The strong grip mat's the one I'm going to use. And there's two different ways you're going to have to use these. So the fabric grip mat is not sticky enough to cut it face down. So I'm going to show you both ways. Okay. So give me a second. I'm going to have to show you my screen again because I have to run my Cricut. The one thing about the Scan and Cut that's nice, I don't have to use any software to run it. The Cricut we have to. So I have to go get my Cricut software here. Give me a second. Share my screen. Okay. And then I'm going to hide this, get this out of the way, and we'll go get our Cricut software, Cricut Design Space software. So yes, you do have to use the software to run the Cricut. Hopefully it'll still let me log in because I can't remember my password right off. And okay. And it keeps telling me my card's going to expire because I have access. So, okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do to get my design in here, remember we made an SVG file. Yes, I do too. Somebody said that they clean their mat when it's not very sticky with baby wipes. That's what I do with mine. I have used that trick with the Scan and Cut and works great for the Cricut as well. And so I'm still using the same mat that I bought this a year ago. I'm still using the same mat. This brand new, that green one that I showed you is brand new and I haven't even used it yet. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the canvas. Okay. So if you haven't seen the Cricut software, many of you, if you have one, you probably have. So we're going to hit canvas and I'm going to upload that SVG file. I need to get it up to my canvas so I can cut it. So we're going to hit the word upload right down here. Okay. And then I'm going to upload an image. So to them, an SVG file is an image. So we're just going to click that button and I'm going to browse. And then I'm going to tell it where it is. So it's on my desktop and it's in my little folder called Future Superstar. Okay. So here's my SVG file. And there's also an FCM, and you can see that it won't read that. It's only showing an SVG. So I'm going to click open. Okay. So now it's going to tell me to continue. So we just got to get it up in there. I'm just going to hit the continue. And I don't know if it doesn't show up, but it actually does show up in the next screen. So I'm not going to save this. I'm just going to upload it. Okay. So there is my little star. Okay. And I did check it when I did my testing and it did come up very well size-wise. It's the correct size. When I digitize this design, and the same as the other one that we talked about a couple weeks ago, I digitize my satin stitching inset a little bit. So you do not have to change the size of this. You can just leave it this size and it will sew fine. If you want to make it a little bigger, you can, but I inset the satin stitches about 20%. So you don't want to make it too big. Otherwise you might see fabric on the outside. So you don't need to, I purposely do that for my, convenience. So I don't have to change the sizes of my applique cuts. Okay. All right. So let's start out by using the pink mat. Okay. Let's see if I think we're good. I want to make sure that I was on the right button. I have lots of buttons in front of me tonight. So here's my star, and we're going to try using that fabric mat. Okay. And remember, the fabric mat wasn't sticky enough for me to put it fabric side down. So we're not going to mirror. We don't need to mirror this. So I'm just going to tell it to make it. So I'm going to go up here to make. I've got my little star there. I'm ready to make it. So I'm going to hit make. Don't need to save this. This is fine. You can save it if you want to. I'm going to make it on my mat. Okay. 12 by 12 is what I got. And then I'm going to hit confirm. Hopefully my machine's awake up here. Yep. Okay. So there's my little star. Ready to cut. Now, this is the difference between this one and the scan and cut. You know, the scan and cut, we could just stick the fabric on anywhere we wanted, and we could scan it, you know, and then we'd know exactly where everything was going to cut. Well, we don't have a scanner on the Cricut. So what I do is I like to take my little design, and I know my little pieces of fabric, I think are 3 by 3. And I just make sure, I think they're 3 by 3. Yeah. So I like to make sure that I have my star within 3 by 3 area for my cutting. And so I know that if I stay within my 3 by 3 square up there, I'll be, yeah, the Cricut doesn't have a scanner. The scan and cut does. So this is the difference. So you have to use your grid on the mat here in order to know where your fabric needs to go. So we're just going to put it up here in this corner. Okay. Remember, we're going to do this right side up because I'm going to use my fabric mat. And so I'm going to tell it, I'm not going to tell it to mirror down here because you can tell it to mirror right here. And we're not going to do that this time. Okay. So then I'm going to click continue. And it has to go find my Cricut. And then I'll switch up to this other camera so you can see my machine. So it has to find it. My Cricut's Bluetooth. And usually I don't have any trouble, but I am running a lot of stuff on this computer, so hopefully it's okay. Let's see if it'll let me find it, because I know it's that one. People have been having trouble with connectivity with their Cricuts lately. And I normally don't have any trouble. There we go. So it connected this time. So then it's going to let me choose what I want. Well, remember, I told you my machine has the ability to use fabric materials. And I've got it down here, fabric, polyester bonded. That's all I could find that was close. If you need to look for other materials, you hit browse all materials here. And then this big list comes up and you can go through and find. So like, here's all the fabrics, and printed fabric would printable. No, it's not printable fabric. I would say polyester bonded was probably the best option. So that's what I used. So that seemed to work very well. So I just used polyester bonded because that's what it is. It's bonded. This happens to be cotton, not polyester. So I'm just going to click on that because that's going to tell the machine how, what you're cutting. Okay. Yes. So it's different. It is different, Donna. And it's nice to know the differences, but this works fine. I had no problems cutting. Okay. So I'm going to tell it to do pressure more because I found with the fabric, it works better, a little bit better with more pressure. So I did default, and it just wasn't quite, it cut fine, but it was a little bit, had a little bit of leftover that maybe it didn't cut as well. So anyway, I'm going to click more. Okay. So now if you give me a second, let's go back, and I'm going to put the camera up here for my machine. So you can actually see the machine up here. Stop the screen sharing. Sorry, I have a lot of buttons to push, so it works out pretty good. All right, so let's switch over to the other camera. And I'll use the other microphone too. Okay. It'll switch over to my other microphone because I can stand up. So there's my machine. Okay. And I actually have it up on stilts because my scan and cut's underneath here. And we're going to cut. So let me move the camera this way a little bit. I'm just going to move it this way. And I'm going to look down on my mat. So here's my mat down here, right below the machine. And we're going to start by cutting with the, they said this pink one is the fabric mat. So we're going to use this. And like I said, this is about the same stickiness as the standard mat. So what I found is that I have to have my fabric right side up, have to take off this paper off this heat and bond. Like this, if I can get a hold of it. Okay. There's the shiny side, and we're going to take the shiny side and put it down on the mat. And remember, we used about the first 3 inches up here to cut this. So I'm going to put it up right in that top corner within the 3-inch by 3-inch square. And then I'm going to take my brayer. This is one thing I did buy from Cricut that I really like. This brayer is a little heavier than the scan and cut one. I really like it. Use a brayer to brayer it down to make sure that it's not going to come off. Okay, so this one's not as sticky, so we're going to do the heat and bond is down on the mat. Okay, then I'm going to come up here. So give me a second. I'll raise the camera. Okay, raise the camera. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to load my mat. So I'm going to put it in here. Click my little load button here. Whoop, might have to pull out a little bit here. I've got this new stand. I really like it, but I think I need to come back out this way a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now it's ready to cut. This machine does not require the software to make it run. This one has a little button right here. I'm just going to hit the button and we'll watch it cut. Again, this is bonded polyester fabric. I've got the heat and bond down on the mat. And I've got my fabric blade in there. And this is the pink fabric mat. So let's go ahead and eject this and see what happened here. Okay, so here's my little piece here. Let's see how it did. Pull it up. And so you can see it sticks pretty well. Okay, stuck really well. Gonna pull this off very carefully. And there's my star. So that is one way that I learned that I could cut. I could use the fabric mat, but I have to cut from the top, and that's fine. I just prefer to cut from the bottom. I like to turn it right side down. So I've got one piece that we can use so we can finish our little design tonight. So let's try the other one now. So I'm going to put this on. I got to make sure I get it right side up here. Put my sheets on. I have a really hard time with the sheets, by the way. They're very clingy. So it takes me a little bit to get it on. There we go. So this is that strong grip mat. I found out that this actually works very well to cut the fabric side down. So I'm going to pull this off. Okay. I did mark this one. You can see that I marked front. I marked front on my paper so that I have it, so it won't, I can get it off. And this is pretty sticky. This is a pretty sticky mat, just like our fabric mat on our stand and cut is. So I thought, oh, well, I bet you this is going to work. So let's give this a try. Because the way I like to cut it is I like my fabric to be cut like this. I like to leave this paper on. And the reason I do is, like, when I lay this down, since I took that paper off, it cut well. But if I lay this around on something, it's probably going to have a bunch of lint and stuff on it because it's pretty clingy. Okay. So that's why I like to cut and leave the paper on, because then it's covered up until I'm ready to use it. All right, so here's my fabric. Go this way a little bit so you can see. Okay, we're going to put this in that same top 3-inch spot. But then we need to go back and look at our fabric. So I got it face down. See, there's the paper. Fabric's on the mat. This is that really strong, this is the strong grip mat. I'm going to brayer it down. Okay. So let's go back to the software here for a minute. We got to do something, because remember, we're cutting it face down. How do you clean your mats? Kim, I use, no, Susan, it does not have a display like the Scan and Cut. See, it has to be driven, the Cricut has to be driven with software. Kim, I use baby wipes. They work great for the Cricut as well. I clean the mats the same way that I clean my Scan and Cut mats. It works very well. So, all right, so let me share my screen here for a minute with you. Can you still hear me okay? Because I sat down. Can you still hear me okay without switching over the microphone? Can you still hear me all right? Let's see. I'm going to change to my screen because I need to show you on that. Share my screen. Okay. So let's look at our software here. Okay. So we're ready to cut again. And we're still going to cut because it finished. And I'm going to go ahead and cut again. But this time I'm going to tell it again, bonded, polyester bonded. Okay. I'm going to do my pressure as more. But then over here, since I'm putting it face down, I want to mirror this. Because I want it's almost symmetrical, but it's not quite. Since it's a star, it's not quite symmetrical. So you do need to mirror it. So in this case, since I'm face down on the mat, it needs to be mirrored. The other one could be right side up because it was right side up. Okay. So there's my more. Mirror is checked over here, and I'm ready to cut. So give me a second. I have to go back over here to my machine. So we'll go back up to the camera. Sorry, I have to go back and forth. When I do this kind of these techie things, I have to go back and forth a lot. So I apologize. Okay. So we're going to go up here to the machine. Here's that purple mat. Okay. I'm going to load my purple mat this time with the little load button here. This down a little bit. Okay. And now we're ready to cut again. I just reach up here. The little go button is flashing. I'm going to hit that. So no, there is no screen on a Cricut. This machine is a little bit more like the Cameo, like the Silhouette Cameo. I used my Silhouette Cameo for years, and this is a lot more like that. And then I'm going to eject my mat, and let's see how this one did. So again, I like to cut fabric down if possible because I like this paper to stay on. So let's see how this one did. So I'm going to pull this off. Okay. And then here is my little star. And it also cut beautifully. Okay. So I guess the moral to this is it depends on how you like to cut. If you want to cut face up, you can use either the green standard mat, a good sticky one, or their pink fabric mat, because you're going to be pulling off the paper and cutting it with that shiny heat and bond down on the mat. And it works very well. I prefer to cut with my fabric on the mat because I like this paper to stay on. Because see my paper's there, and I can take it off when I'm ready to use it. Because that's the one thing that sometimes if these get laid around, like if you got these laying around for a while without the paper on the back, then you can stick it on the piece of paper that I took off, you know,
like this, but they don't stick very well then. You know, they fall off real easy. And I get lint and stuff on there. So sometimes then it makes it, you can see it through my fabric. And that's why I like the paper on. So there's my piece that we'll use this one in the little design tonight we're going to do, okay? This is the one I have my paper on the back. But both work. If you got the smaller machines, the Joys, you're going to have to use the green mat, green standard mat, pretty sticky one, and take the heat and bond paper off and do it face up. And it cut perfectly fine. And then instead of when I showed you where I used the bonded polyester fabric, I just used medium or heavy cardstock. Heavy cardstock worked the best. So I used heavy cardstock instead when I chose the type of material to cut. And that seemed to work very well on the smaller machine. So, okay. All right. So we have cut. We have a good, I mean, this cuts very well. I was very pleased with how it did. It's a little bit more work. I had to do some experimenting with stuff. I got to get something on top of this so I won't get something stuck on it. It's very sticky. So, okay. So I got my cover back on. So I would say you don't have to buy both mats. I did just for comparison. But if you have a really good sticky green mat and you don't want to buy another mat, just take the heat and bond paper off the back and cut it face up. If you want to use it face down, buy the purple strong grip mat. That would be the mat that I would buy instead of the actual fabric mat. Okay, so I think I had a question here. Yes, yes, the thickness of what you are cutting, Jan, is in the software. So if you want me to show you again, I can show you again. Give me just a second here. Go back to, oops, here it is. Go back to design space. So here's where it lets me choose what kind of thickness. I hope I have to hit the button. I didn't get the button hit hard enough, sorry. I have to hit buttons really hard. There we go. Okay. So here is where it let me set my base material. And like with the two smaller machines, I used either medium or heavy cardstock, and that seemed to work well. And then for the bigger machines, you have fabric options. So I chose polyester bonded, and that seemed to work very well for cutting with this machine, this Explorer. I like the 12-inch mats. The two smaller ones are really, really nice machines, but they do limit some of the stuff, and I do quite a bit of larger things. And yes, the scan and cut detects the thickness. Yes, it does. So it's a different setup than this is. So yes, so you have to tell it. It's kind of the same in a way, but you're just telling it what you're cutting when the scan and cut does it for you. So as you can see, there's good things and bad things about both machines. This one is a really nice machine to draw with. I like drawing with the Cricut because I think it's easier to get pens that fit in it, and it draws really well. The Scan and Cut has a scanner and a screen on it, and you can use it completely without software. So if you don't like software, I tell you buy Scan and Cut because you don't need to use software. So, I mean, they have good and bad things about it. I like both machines. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click done. And we're back to our canvas again. And there's my little guy. So we're done with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and close my software. I'm not going to save it. But now we need to be able to cut this little guy. So we cut it. So now we need to sew it. So if you give me a second, I'm going to stop the screen share here. If you give me a second, I'm going to move over, and I've got a little sewing machine next to me. And we're going to sew this out. So we're going to use the one that had the paper on the back. But I got to move my camera over next to me here. Oh, you have a Cricut too, Janan? I like my Cricut. I mean, I like it, but I use it mostly for paper crafting. But I can I'm just making the legs longer on the tripod. I'm sorry if I'm making anybody sick. I don't have two cameras, so I have to use the same camera and move it. So they have their their good points and their bad points. And I actually like my Cricut real well. I use it quite a bit, actually. I like it. All right, so let's go over here to the machine. So I've got my little machine over here. Now you get to view my really old machine, by the way. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm going to go up a little bit. So we're gonna sew this out. You've never used it? Yeah, I like my Cricut. I didn't know if I'd like it or not. I can't say I do really like mine. What's the stand you have the machine on? Oh, the stand that my Cricut's on? Here, I'll show you. It's really neat. I got some gift cards on Amazon, and here's my Cricut. So it's these legs here, and the Cricut has, like, there's two little feet under here, and they have a screw in them, and you unscrew them, and then you screw them to these little legs, so it holds it nice and sturdy. And then I've got my Scan and Cut underneath, and I can actually run them both because the Scan and Cut screen will come up, and I can run them both. So it's really cool. I'll have to see if I can find the link, and I'll put that in the description below the video too. But these are neat because if you have two machines, this is a way you can have them both on the same table and be able to use them both. Isn't that cool? I kind of like it. Oh, on your Cricut? Yeah, I've been using it mostly for paper. I really like the Cricut, but I haven't had it as long, so I'm still struggling a little bit with. Yeah, isn't the stand cool? So yeah, I got it on Amazon. I'll find the link and see if I can put it in the description below. You like the Scan and Cut better too? Yeah, I like my Scan and Cut really well. I've had it for so long, and the thing I love about the Scan and Cut is that the fact that it is standalone. You do not need to use any software. You are not tied to a computer or a phone or anything to run it. You can actually run it most of the time without any computer. You can use the software if you want, but you don't have to. And so, like with this machine, you have to. Like the little ones, you can't even make it run without the computer. Like you have to hit cut on the computer. This one has a button at least. So, okay. So you get to meet my old machine. No computer, that's for you. Yes, then I would tell you definitely, Susan, to get the Scan and Cut. But that's why I wanted to do both of these, because then you could see the differences. I got good cuts on both of them, and I'm pleased with both of them. But it depends on which one you think works better for you. Okay, so here's my little star. Still has paper on it. Okay. Now this is my old machine. It is so old. I don't know if you can see, but it has a black and white screen. Okay, this is a 1500D. This machine's about 20 years old. Still runs. And it's just small enough that it fits on my table here. So that's why I brought it home, so that I could sew on it. And it sews fine. And it's got a 6x10 hoop in it. So I don't know, do any of you have a 1500D, or did you have a 1500D? So we're going to sew this out. So I've got my little design up here. I don't know if you can see very well. The screen's kind of hard to see. But I've got the design up here in the machine. Okay, this one's so old it doesn't even have a USB port. You have to use a card. I've got the little card, and remember those old cards? Some of you that have had machines. So, I normally don't for my design, Cheryl, because I inset the satin stitches to compensate for that. So you don't have to increase the size. If you don't know for sure the digitizer, what they did, then I would increase it just a hair to help out for size. But I know mine are fine without increasing it. So you don't have to with this one. Okay. And remember, if you want this design, the link to it will be in the description of this video, below the video, in the description. Okay. There'll be a link there to get this free design, and this is free. And it's also on the Facebook page. If you've joined my Facebook page and you go to this link, it'll take you to YouTube and it'll be there also. Okay. All right. So went ahead and sewed out the lettering first so that we wouldn't have to sit through that tonight. But we're going to sew out the applique. So I've got my blue thread up here, and I think it's threaded right. Yep. Okay. I'm going to put my foot down, maybe. And we're going to sew out our placement line. So this is what we cut from, remember? We cut from that placement line. Okay, so there's our placement line. Oh, and this one also doesn't have a jump clipper. That's the hardest thing about sewing on this machine. Doesn't have a jump clipper, so I have to clip all the jump clips up through the whole design. Okay, so now we're going to go over here to where my little iron is, and we're going to take the paper off of this. I'll lay this on my little mat. Got a little ironing mat and got my little mini iron. I love my little mini iron. And we're going to take the paper off the back of this. So this one is nice and clean because, you know, it had the paper on it. Take the paper off here. And then got to get it inside the placement line. And it should fit right exactly in there, except if you don't have it on the right side. There we go. This is not exactly symmetrical, so you might have to turn it to get it in there. Okay, so there's my little star, and then I'm going to take my iron and I'm just going to press down on it a little bit just to tack it down. Oops. There we go. I like this little iron. This is up on our Shield Sewing Center website. It's small enough that we even fit in this little this is a 4x4 design. So it even fits in the 4x4. There we go. So there's our ironed little star, and you can just barely see the blue line where that was my placement line. Okay. So there's that. So now we're going to put it back in the machine here. Come back over this way. Okay. Now, since I just have a tack down line as the next step, I don't really need to stitch that out because it's already adhered to my fabric. I'm just going to skip through that particular stitch, and then I'm just going to do the satin stitching around the star. So we're going to do that. No, it does not, Suzanne. It does not have a shut off on it. I actually don't like a shut off on an iron because it drives me crazy. Because I get up, you know, and I'm ironing sometimes all day, or I'm sewing all day, and then I have to go and turn the iron back on every 10 minutes. So I actually prefer them not to have a shut off. I have a big iron that I love. It's a reliable iron that I can actually bypass the shut off on it, so I can make it not shut off. I really like that. But this one's just a basic one. Yeah, you'll forget to shut it off. I'm really careful with irons. I have normally had an iron without a shut off, and so I'm very, very careful with irons. So now you get to see my little old machine sew. It sews really well. My big one is just too big for this table. I couldn't bring it out and set it on this table. Yeah, I just hate the shut off. So Maureen, you would like the reliable iron I have. It's called the Reliable Velocity. It has a bypass. So you can have it shut off if you want, or you can bypass it so it won't shut off. I love that because then I can just bypass it. Yep, I do too, Cheryl. I am very careful with the irons. I've always been really careful with irons. So there's our little design. It's almost done. And we cut it out with the Cricut. So see, we did real well with the Cricut, just like we did with the Scan and Cut. I had to play with the mats and decide what mat would work best for me. I do like that real tacky one. There we go. So there's our little design, and this one's free to you, Future Superstar. I already stitched out, this is the second color, this red is the next color. I had already stitched it out, so you didn't have to sit through all the lettering. But isn't that cute? And it's sewed out really nicely around the edges. So what do you think? These are fun projects to do. I like to do applique this way. Yep, pull the plug to be safe. But I do like this little iron. So this little mini iron here, it's a Nifty Notions mini iron. And I've had this for a long time now. I mean, I use it all the time. And yeah, I mean, it does a good job. This might not be a very new machine, but it still sews really well. And I've always had good luck with it. It's always been kind of my carry around machine. And it embroiders really well. I don't like to sew on it too much because it's missing a lot of features, but embroidery on it is fine. So, okay. So what do you think about the Cricut? Let me make sure I didn't miss any notes here. I'm going to turn my page here. I want to make sure I didn't miss any notes. And oh, by the way, what the other thing I do is I clean my mats. Let me get my mat for you here. I usually take, now after I've cut on these mats, I will take a baby wipe and I'll just clean these off because I don't know if you can see. Can you see it leaves some little bits of fabric in the mat? So it's better to keep these, especially your fabric mat, they get kind of dirty. So I wipe them off after every time I cut with them to keep them as sticky as possible for as long as possible. So, all right. So I'm going to do that with both of those since I cut on them tonight. I'll do that with my, I just use baby wipes with no alcohol and no like aloe. You don't want any kind of stuff on it, just no alcohol and no aloe. And that works out really well. Okay, so let me switch my camera over here. So we can take any last questions. And I'll move the camera here in a second. I always have lots of cameras sitting here when I do these, especially when I do like techie stuff like this. I have to use all this different stuff to do this. Yeah, I like the Scan and Cut. I like the Cricut. I mean, I like them both for different reasons. You know, I might throw in some stuff with the Cricut occasionally, just because. Yes, the felt is so messy to cut. Tracy, you said that the felt, yes, it's very messy. If you use better quality felt, like more like a wool or a wool blend felt, it's not as bad as the acrylic. The acrylic felt is just terrible to cut. It just makes a mess on the mats. Let's see. You want Scan and Cut? Well, yeah, we'll be doing Scan and Cut. I'm going to do, in fact, I'm going to do a Scan and Cut class in March. So do you do a video on your Scan and Cut cover? Oh, I did. Maureen, my cover, did you see my cover, this one? Yes, it's actually on my YouTube channel. So there, I even give you the pattern for it. So yes, it's on, if you go to Sew Along with Jan and the playlist, Brother Scan and Cut, it's in there. And I even give you the pattern for it and everything. Okay. So yes, it's there. This was, I think this was part of, this was in Canvas Workspace, I think, this part of it. And then the Scan and Cut, we made it. So yeah, so go do that. And then I give you the pattern for this too, so you can download it and make it yourself. Yeah, I like having mine covered. I've always had it covered, so I like to have it covered. Okay, so next time, you still love to have your cover, Kim? Yeah, because you have my old machine, don't you? Don't you have my old machine? Because I made the cover for that one too. Yep, and there's two sizes of covers there. For those of you who have like the CMs, if you still have a CM model machine, there's a cover for that one too, and this is the DX cover. So I've got both of them there. So if you have the smaller machine, there's a pattern for that one too. Okay. Yeah, I like making them. So, okay. So next time, that's going to be March, what is it? 5th? Does that sound right? March 5th? And you have the 125. Okay. So let me see here.
I think it's March 5th is the next class. So it's 2 weeks. Yes, March 5th. We're going to just have some fun with embroidery. Do I have a pattern? No, I don't have a Cricut pattern. I need to make one for my Cricut too, though, don't I? I haven't got one for the Cricut yet, so I'll see if I can get one made up for that too, because I really would like to have it covered. I just like to cover them because then they don't get dusty, you know. I used to cover them because of my cat, and because my cat liked to used to lay. She would lay on them, or she'd walk across them all the time, and so see, when you use wool, will scan and cut work with light steam a seam? Martha, steam a seam does not work well with cutting fabric with the scan and cut or else otherwise. So steam a seam was not my choice. I would say heat and bond, because the steam a seam comes off. It doesn't bond into the fibers enough. So, okay. Also, can stitches be a blanket stitch? Oh, you mean for the digitizing? Sure, you just have to digitize it yourself. I just happen to use satin stitches on this one, but you can use blanket stitches, sure. Yep. Okay, so next time on the 5th, we're going to do, I think the second one in March, we're going to do a scan and cut class. We'll just make something fun with the scan and cut. We're going to make, I've taught a lot of software classes over the years, and a lot of people have asked me, can we sew out the projects we made in the digitizing software? Because I've never really sewn them out I mean, I have samples, but I've never taught anybody how to sew them. So we're going to do one of those this time. This is a little USB case. So this is what we're going to do next time. It's a little USB case, and the design is already up on Facebook. It is in the description of the event, and this free design is up there. So this is a little USB. We're going to put a zipper in, okay, and then it makes these little pockets down here to put your USBs in, and then a little pocket to hide some stuff in, and then we'll put the snaps on. So this one has a monogram on it. The one we're going to make in the class, I just made a fun one with Mickey on it. So this is going to be what we're going to do. So this has got I got red thread in this one. Okay, so we're going to make the little Mickey Mouse one next time. Okay, and this is a really fun project. This was a software class that I taught years ago, and I've done it several times. I actually redid the case the last time I did it to make it bigger, so that it's a little bit larger to hold more USBs. But I just thought it was nice to slip in your purse if you need a USB. I always have 2 or 3 USBs in there. And I made this on my new Avenir. So this was my first project on my new Avenir. So that was fun to make that. So here's my little Mickey. That's in the machine. So that's what we're going to do next time on the 3rd. So this will also be a free design. So you can have this to make a little project too, if you want to. And then I made it so that you can put anything you want here. So if you do want, yes, it'll be on YouTube, Roseanne. But this little monogram, I digitized it in the software, but you can also use monograms and stuff from your machine. And I made a little template for you to use. So, okay. So this will be fun. I just thought we'd have some fun sewing next time. And then I think we'll have fun making something with the scan and cut in March also. Okay. So has anybody else got questions? Did that kind of give you an idea what the Cricut does? It's different, isn't it, than the scan and cut? Did a good job cutting the fabric. I was happy with my results with both. Had to cut it a little differently, but once I found the right mat, worked fine. And those of the people that have smaller Cricuts, I think you can use that too. Just use a good sticky green mat, and take the paper off and lay it shiny side down on the mat, and that worked fine for me. So, okay. All right. So let's have a drawing. Is everybody ready for a drawing? Have you been making comments so you can get entered to win? So this is the prize tonight. I've got a little zipper bag. Okay. And then I've got a little, since it's kind of snowy and cold, I figured we needed to have a little snowflake pincushion. Okay. All right. So let's take a look and see who's going to win. So let me take a look. You do have to be in the US. I've got a couple people here from Canada. I can't ship to Canada. I'm sorry. So, so it has to be somebody in the US. If you win tonight, please either personal message me your mailing address and I will mail this to you. And the link for the stand. Yes, I'll put the link for the stand in the video description. I will give you the link to the stand. Okay. Because that's pretty cool. Because if you have a couple of machines, it's nice to have. Then you would need to either personal message me your mailing address or email me at janshieldsewing@gmail.com. Okay. Oh yeah. Thanks, Bernadette. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me on YouTube if you give me thumbs ups. So if you give me a thumbs up, it really helps me a lot. It's just a YouTube thing. I don't know exactly how it works, but you know, so I thought I'd just ask. Thank you. And come join us on YouTube or on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done that. And then, but it helps me if you give me a thumbs up. So I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to go to our little giveaway here. I'm going to hit draw and let's see who wins. I'll write it down so I won't forget. See who wins tonight. Annette, is it Gentile? Gentile is how you say it. Annette Gentile. So Annette, you are the winner. So I'll write your name down. So if you can send me your mailing address, I will send this little gift to you. So Annette is the winner of the little zipper bag and the pincushion. Okay, so if you can send me your email or your email me or personal message me, I will send that to you tomorrow. Okay, so we're 2 weeks from today. We will be doing the little USB bags, the little USB cases. Okay, and you can get the free design already if you go to the Facebook group. If you click on the event, it'll take you to where the link is to that. Okay, so I've got it up there on the Dropbox already. And you can also get this design, and this one everything will be linked in the description below this video. So, okay. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in a couple of weeks and we'll have some fun and you get to watch the new Avenir sew. So I'm going to sew on my new machine for the next class. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a great evening. Stay warm if you're someplace where it's cold. Take it easy. Bye-bye.